All right. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the rising tide of disease. We're also going to talk about the need to sound the alarm. And I'm going to share with you a few of some updates. So I don't know if you're aware, but the CDC has recently published some new statistics. I'm still updating some of the things, but I've been spending a little time this morning, especially kind of digging into the research and identifying what's changing, what the trends are, and so let's go ahead and get started. I'll go ahead and share my screen. All right, are you seeing the slides all right?
Yes, we are.
Perfect, thank you. So I thought for today's topic, it would be good to talk a little bit about how we are having some amazing breakthroughs in technology. I mean, some of the things that are happening right now with artificial intelligence and things are just almost even shocking. I work with it well, I work with it every day, almost all day, as we utilize some of the new technology to analyze data, to produce outputs, and even to monitor and take action on things. And with all of the improvements and changes in technology, the question is, why is our health continuing to get worse? How can we have such breakthroughs in technology and yet we don't seem to be turning the corner with regard to chronic illness? And so there's a real contrast. There's a real dichotomy that's happening, and the alarming increase of diseases. And as I said, I'm going to share a few more recent statistics. It was estimated back in the 60s that by the time we got to the 90s and 2000, less than 4% of the population would suffer from chronic disease. And that was how they projected all of the entitlements, right? When it comes to Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, the idea of how many people would be chronically ill in the population. They estimated be less than 4%. And as you know, this is a recent statistic. It used to be 60%. About I think it was 2022. So 3 years ago, it was 60%. It's now up to 76.4% of adults suffer from chronic illness. So we've gone up 16.4% of the population getting sick in just the last 3 years. And add to that, this used to be 40%. Okay. It used to be just 3 years ago, 40% of the population were suffering from two or more illnesses. Now it's 51.4%. So what does this say? It says that though we're really growing in our knowledge of technology, though that we're changing our lifestyle, we're all having access to a lot more data products, and we're carrying our phones around. We have the whole world information at our fingertips at any moment in the day. We're much more connected than we used to be, and yet we still are not having any improvement. In fact, we're having drastic decrease in the healthiness of America. So, as a percentage of the adult population, 51.4%, more than half of adults in America are suffering from two or more chronic illnesses. The average person has 51 plus prescriptions in the year. Okay. Five or more chronic illnesses. So we're really going in the wrong direction. We've talked about this one. We don't have an update on it, but from 1990 to 2013, a 41% in deaths from heart disease. This one is up. They're now estimating the study won't come out till next year, but they're estimating this is around 52% of increase in asthma. Uh, Digestive disorders, they've decided they can no longer lump them together and have a cumulative number. They're going to break it out into all the different diseases because each of them now are so significant. So we won't even really know what the percentage is of people having inflammatory bowel diseases because they're no longer going to lump them all together. Each of them have so many people, they're going to be tracked separately. This is an interesting one. This was 45%. It's now over 50%. And guess what? That's to 2011. Since 2011 to today, it's increased another 50%. So those results are still to come out, but they're estimating over 50% increase from where we were just what is that, 14 years ago. So stay tuned on that one. Epilepsy, as you know, 250% increase. We don't have an update on that. We don't have an update on the diabetes yet. That's coming out end of the year. Birth from fertility treatments, that one. The Alzheimer's. This one, they can't even project what the number is because it's basically hockey sticked. This one, look at this. So from the 1990s to 2022, 4,200% increase in autism. So to lay that out, in 1990, it was 1 in 500 children. So maybe one per school, right? Per elementary school. Now it's 1 in 150 children. I'm sorry, in 2000, it was 1 in 150. In 2022, it was 1 in 31. We don't have an update since 2022, but the projection, if you follow the chart, if you look at this chart, it tells you the direction we're going. We could be as low as 1 in 15 by the time they give us another statistic. So why? What's going on, right? This is frightening. And you have to ask ourselves, what is really different today from 5 years ago or 10 years ago, 20 years ago, or 30 years ago? Has our diet really changed that much in the last 30 years? And I would argue that from a standpoint of macros, proteins, carbohydrates, fats, it hasn't changed that much in 30 years. There was a drastic change 30 years ago as the introduction of cold cereals and crackers and snacks and all those things happened. I still think that we're consuming pretty close to the same amounts of those things. So what has changed? And the biggest change has been the ingredients that we're using to make these things. It's the way that it's processed. It's the herbicides, pesticides, the glyphosates, the incredible amount of chemicals that have been approved for use on our food systems, on our agriculture, in our cleaning, and in our homes. We've just been facing a huge increase in toxicity, and it doesn't seem to be curbing. As we've increased our technology, we, along with that, have increased our pharmaceuticals, we've increased our chemical usage, and so, I'm probably eating pretty similar to what I was 30 years ago. I think my kids are eating pretty similar to what I was 30 years ago. That part of it, maybe there's more consumption of snack food and things, but there was a lot of soda being drunk and a lot of snacks being eaten back then. One of the differences is we are not preparing from scratch as much as we used to. We're eating a lot more food that's prepared or pre-prepared, that's faster and quicker. And I would say, in addition to that, the ingredients that make up those foods are very different. So that's where the changes have happened. We talk about this rising tide where we have an increase of toxins, we have an increase of overall inflammation in the body, a breakdown of the digestive system, and a reduction of essential nutrients. That's one of the things where we're talking these base ingredients, the wheats, the grains, the produce. These are not the same as they have been in the past. And to prove that, all you have to do is travel to other places in the world. Go eat in Europe or in Asia. You can even go across the border into Canada. The same chemicals and processes that we do in the US are not allowed in other parts of the world. You can't even use it. They won't even take our wheat, for example, or our corn or our soy. We have to give it to them. We have to use it give it away through humanity purposes. We can't sell it to them because the chemicals and the processes that we've done in producing them increase the shelf life, increase the yields and production, but it does harm to the nutritional value, and so the rest of the world won't even buy it. So agricultural chemicals, processed foods, harmful food additives, pollutants in our water. There are 36 neurotoxic chemicals registered for use in agriculture. Glyphosate, we mentioned already, disrupts the beneficial bacteria in the gut, which increases problems with digestion, increases inflammation, etc. We can see the increase of these diseases almost perfectly parallel the increased use of the chemicals. As we increase the use of glyphosate, for example, we can almost put the increased occurrence of these diseases right across the top of the graph. It's almost a perfect positive correlation. It's scary, but this is what we've done to the health in America because we've allowed all this to happen. So what do we do about it? Well, we need to go and approach the problem at the root, because truth of the matter is we're going to continue to consume. Okay, we're going to continue to eat. We might be able to have a hobby garden and you can grow some of your own produce. Perhaps you are in a place where you can buy organic or go to um, to a different market. There's lots of things we can try to do. But at the end of the day, if you're going to travel, if you're going to eat at a restaurant, if you're going to have working lunches, if you're going to live in America, you're going to get these toxins. They just are part of our food supply today. I know there's some things being done in Washington right now to try and reverse and change and limit the effects. However, folks, it's what we have. And so what I would recommend is, yeah, do the best you can. But secondly, we have to do some things to empower our bodies to reduce the toxic overload that we are getting every day, whether it's in the food we eat, the air we breathe, the water we drink. We are being bombarded, and we've got to give our bodies some extra tools to compete with this and to work against it. Okay, some tools that help the body get the toxins out and to bring higher levels of nutrients in. Um, Harvard Medical School says that inflammation may be the common factor in all these diseases, right? We talk about the increased rate of these chronic illnesses. Well, they're all linked to this inflammation. So we got to bring that inflammation down if we want to see results. Here's John Hopkins in 2016 telling us that these diseases specifically are tied to inflammation. So if we can find an effective strategy for bringing down inflammation, then we should be able to see improvement. Here's inflammation that occurs in the digestive system. You've got the healthy villi on the left, damaged in the middle, and then scarring instead of villi on the right. And this is what's happening if we have chronic inflammation in our digestive system, week after week, month after month, year after year, decade after decade. It develops a scarring and our absorption goes down, the inflammation goes up, and as a result, we get sick. I'm going to skip through some of this because we've reviewed it before, but it's very, very important that that our gut be repaired and rebuilt so that we can absorb nutrients correctly. If unprocessed or wrong types of components pass through the intestinal wall into our bloodstream, well, then our body kicks in an immune response, and that leads to all sorts of autoimmune disorders. That's the thing that you talk to anybody now, they're like, well, I've got this autoimmune disorder, I've got an autoimmune disease. Well, this is the cause, folks. This is what causes it. It's called leaky gut, and it's when our digestive system is chronically inflamed for an extended period of time. We get these breaks and these openings and cracks in the intestinal lining, and these undigested proteins and things find their way into the bloodstream. Body says that's not supposed to be here, so it registers it as a pathogen or as an enemy, and it creates an immune response. which then leads to poor digestion and problems and allergies, and to basically a situation where you either have to avoid all of these things in your diet, be in pain and sick, or take medications like steroids, which are going to reduce the immune response, which then lead to a whole litany of other problems. So we've got to we've got to figure out how we're going to counter this. And one is by increasing the amount of essential nutrients we're getting on a daily basis, making sure that the percentage of the food we're eating is higher in nutrition than normally. And we do that with supplementation. We do that with good food choices as best we can, but also by making sure we are giving ourselves healthy nutrition as often during the day, if not consistently, as possible. So here's just a few fun slides. You can ask yourself if this applies to you, because these are what we call warning signs. Okay. Eyelid twitch, leg cramps, ringing in the ears, stiff shoulders, joint pain, tooth decay. These are signs that your body is not keeping up and doesn't have enough essential nutrients to repair and maintain itself. This is a nutrient deficiency indicator. If you're driving down the road and your warning light comes on for the oil, right? It says your oil is low. What do? Do you reach into the glove box, pull out the masking tape, put that masking tape over that light, you can't see it anymore, and keep driving, right? That's the strategy. We would never do that in our car because we know that if the oil light is on, it means we don't have enough oil in the engine. If we don't put in oil in, that engine's going to heat up, it's going to seize, and it's going to cost us a lot of money to get that car running again. Well, that's what these are to the human body. These are the oil light, the warning sign that says, hey, you know what? You're short, you're deficient in certain things, and it's a sign to boost up your supplementation. Clean up the diet as best you can and increase the amount of the additional supplements that you're taking. Perhaps you've seen signs of blood sugar issues where you're craving something sweet, and then even when you are full, right? You've had plenty to eat, but you continue to return to the pantry or the refrigerator wondering what else there is, because your body is deficient. There were plenty of calories, but there weren't enough nutrients. And so you continue to be hungry, not because you are in need of calories, but because you're in need of nutrition. How about the times when we can't remember a specific word and we're trying to describe, remember that thing, or when we call our kids by the wrong name? I think we get a little bit of a pass on this because I do that all the time, just because there's so many of them. But this, where the words are not on the tip of your tongue, you can't express things, you can't remember things. These could also be a sign that the brain is not having accurate synapse, it's not having recall, because it's deficient in some of those essential fats that help cause that brain to be lubricated and supported. The feeling of being bloated after every meal. Okay. You sit down to eat, the food looks great, but afterwards you're like, what on earth did I eat? Because something in there is not sitting well with me. And it can turn to this, irritable bowel, where you either bouncing between constipation and diarrhea throughout the day or the week, and doesn't seem like you can calm it down. These are all warning signs. These are the oil light on the dashboard of your car. And so we have to do something about it. One of the things, as we mentioned, is to try and don't run over any more nails, right? If you're comparing this to a flat tire, the advice would be try to stay away from the construction areas and don't run over any more nails. Or in other words, try to eat as clean as you can. Try to eliminate some of the more inflammatory foods that are typical in causing inflammation in our bodies. But you have to pull out the nails that are in there. That's how we detox and reduce the inflammation. That's what our detox tea is designed to do, is designed to go and help the body identify and eliminate these toxins so they're not floating around in your body and just getting moved around to irritate another part of the body. We also have to patch the hole. This is the repair to the digestive system that's required. And we'll talk just briefly about that. Then we have to fill up our reserves again. Okay. These are the essential nutrients and beneficial nutrients that help us make sure that our tank is full. And give us the ability to continue to remove toxins as we go forward on a daily basis. So pulling out the nails, that is to avoid the toxins as best we can, eating as clean as possible, making sure that the body has this full spectrum detox. That's our daily detox tea. This is going to help clean out the colon, the livers, the kidneys. It's going to help the cells move the toxins out. It's also going to help flush out the digestive system and reduce the inflammation there. Okay, you're familiar with our calcium bentonite clay. That is in that detox tea. Now you can buy this also just separately and mix it into anything you want, but I like the detox tea. I do that pretty much following lunch every day. You're also familiar with our high impact ginger and turmeric. These are extremely potent. They reduce inflammation throughout the body in all of the organs. They increase circulation, immune support, et cetera, et cetera. These are at our base of our health program. If you're familiar with our GTM product, ginger, turmeric, muscadine, also fulvic minerals, all in that product. And if you're noticing some of these warning signs we talked about, just increase your dosage. Okay, maybe spread it out. Get some 3 times a day so that your body has the tools ready and available throughout the day. There's a number of other beneficial things that are found in like our Sport and Go product. I love this product. It's giving you the hawthorn berry, the selenium methionine, the rhodiola, milk thistle, dandelion root. These are all extremely beneficial as we try to repair the digestive system and get back to where we can be healthy. The number one herb at helping support our body's ability to heal and damage the digestive tract is ginger. Okay, you might not be aware of that, but there are all sorts of clinical studies talking about how it's the only thing that we've ever discovered that actually helps repair those villi, the ones we were talking about inside the intestines that get inflamed. Well, so if you are suffering from that, we'd recommend extra ginger, not just what's in the regular GTM dosage, but open some ginger caps into some water into your tea. Take some extra ginger capsules, lots of different things that will help boost the repair of those villi. Then boost it up with some essential nutrition. Make sure you're getting your methylated B vitamins and amino acids and all those things throughout the day. I make up my Sport and Go and I just sip it throughout the day, have it on my desk. I'm getting those B vitamins and amino acids and trace minerals and electrolytes and adaptogenic herbs. I'm getting them all throughout the day. So over 100 nutrients are classified as essential. These are the building blocks that our bodies need. And these make up vitamins, minerals, amino acids, essential fatty acids. We have to get these on a regular basis. There's also some wonderful adaptogenic herbs that are in our formulas that are going to help with the thyroid and the adrenals and blood sugar levels and cortisol levels and reducing stress. Also just something to help you feel good and to be ready to compete with all of the things that are bombarding us on a daily basis. So that's what I've got for a presentation today. Let me stop the share. I think maybe I did. And I want to now reach out to everybody and just see if we can answer some questions. Let's see. I've got this. Close this. All right. Anybody have any questions or comments or experiences with this? I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording